Hi everyone, this is Ekaterina, and in today's video I will be covering a new book which is called Goodbye Things on Minimalistic Living by Fumo Sasaki. Now you might be surprised as to why I'm actually talking about minimalistic living in the channel dedicated to mental health and mindful reading or topics relevant to counseling. However, it was one of those cases when I was pleasantly surprised with the book I've bought, and the fact is that I've managed to gain from this book so much more than I ever expected. And as the title says, this was mostly bought because when I was moving houses, I realized that I had just too many items. And as I was packing my boxes, at some point, I've just decided to pack everything. And then when I move into my new house, to really go through all those boxes and try to reduce the number of items I have, because it was just unnecessary too much. So when I saw this book on a shelf in a bookshop, I thought that would be great. That can help me to start somewhere maybe easy. The aim was never to become a minimalist. I just wanted to have some useful tips on how I can reduce my number of belongings and just kind of be able to let go of all those items. So I purchased this book, but as I said, it surprised me because it goes into other areas where minimalism can be applied. For example, how can you reduce the amount of social media in your life, all the distractions we get from the internet, from Facebook, Instagram and other platforms. It touches the topics of how can we acquire true happiness. Again, I was not expecting this from this particular book. And it goes into many other topics that I would like to cover in today's video, which again were very fresh ideas that I haven't heard previously. So I'm very grateful to the author of this book that he surprised me and he brought to my attention some topics that I haven't really thought of before. So for those who are not familiar with minimalism, let me just explain what is the main concept. And it's all about reducing the number of your material objects to the most essential kind of list. And I like that there is no specific targets for minimalists. They don't tell you that you need to have only 100 items that you use. It is very unique to every single individual needs, which I think is kind of overlapping with counseling, whereby we are trying to find the best way for that person to lead their life and to resolve the problems. Same with minimalism, it's all about you finding your type of minimalism. And therefore there's no targets as to how many items you have to throw away or what is that number you have to reach. It's mostly about really identifying which items you truly necessarily need and which are truly important, as opposed to we're just getting them for other much less important reasons. And not surprisingly, the author of this book starts this book by actually exploring the reasons why we accumulate all those items. Now, most of those reasons is something probably I ticked. I was reading this book and thinking, yep, that's me again, that certainly is me. And some of the simple reasons for gathering stuff is the fact that we regret when we don't use them. So we keep thinking that I don't need it today, but certainly tomorrow I will use it, or maybe a month from now. Or we regret the money we spent on the clothes that we only wore once. Or sometimes we're lazy and we just prefer to leave things as they are, as opposed to spending the time and going through items and deciding which one we're going to sell on Gumtree or other platforms, which we're going to donate. Certainly it's much easier to just leave the things as they are. Some of the items we have are linked to memories, for example, our vacations or other special events in our lives. And we think that by discarding those items, we will lose our memories. Now, this is quite a wrong idea, because in the end of the day, the memories that are truly important to us will stay in our memory, even when the items linked to them are gone. So you do have to sometimes overstep that fear that you will forget things just because you've given up an item. Some items we have are gifts from our relatives and friends, and again, we might worry that next time that friend comes over and if they don't see that one pillow or that one picture frame they've given to us, they might question us as to, well, what happened with that present I've given you? and we decide then not to throw away that item. So I would say definitely for all those reasons, I was ticking some of the boxes, thinking certainly this all applies to me. And truly I am a gatherer, and my parents were also very good at gathering things. The same habit exists in my brother's household. And I know that you need to sometimes really stop, slow down and revise, because you cannot just keep bringing new stuff in your house. Hence why I bought this book. And the author explores another reason why we buy stuff, and this is probably something that I don't think applies to me specifically, but I've seen people having that issue. And I can certainly also imagine this being a very big stress factor for some people, and they might even want to seek counseling in order to resolve this issue. And it is a situation where people buy items in order to impress other people. So they feel like the only way they can show their value is by showing the car they have, the big house they have, how successful they are in life and how good is their job because they can afford a big vacation, or getting the latest version of an iPhone and other gadgets. So I've certainly met people who used all those material objects in order to impress other people. And what struck me the most is that some of those individuals were very clear on the fact that they came from very poor, humble beginnings, and they never had all those items growing up. And now that they succeeded in life, they needed to show the world how much of a change they went through. So they kept buying those things. And a trait that I've noticed, I would say, is that when those people share with you the news about buying the new item or going on a new vacation, they always try to slide in the price tag. You might never ask them about how much that car cost, but they will somehow mention it. And as I'm generally not much impressed with the value of things, and specifically cars, I think they found it always very frustrating because I would not be impressed with their purchases. And I'm very sorry for those people who try to impress me with those items. It just doesn't work on me. But nonetheless, you can see how frustrated they were getting when they were not getting that acknowledgement, that sense of surprise and maybe some jealousy when they were showing all those items. And in this particular book, the author goes much deeper as to, well, why do we need all those items to impress other people? And again, some of those ideas were very interesting and fresh to me because I never really thought into it that much. And what the author of this book explained is that quite often we seek the reassurance, the acknowledgement from the people around us. And while some of the things, for example, our physical characteristics are very easy to, well, see and acknowledge, but the values, our beliefs, our true values, they're on the inside. So you cannot just approach somebody and for them to understand who you truly are straight away. It takes time. So what we do is we purchase the items that represent our beliefs and our values. So for example, if you're quite religious, you might have books linked to that particular religion or items around the house that will show to everyone just how religious you are. If you are interested in music, you might have lots of records, you might have musical instruments. If you're very fashionable, you might want to stay in trend and always have the latest and the greatest from the leading shops. And when people see those items, when they see your house, when they see how you dress, they then understand, well, that person is religious, or he's very much into music, or they have a really good fashionable sense. So we use those items in order to sometimes share with the people who we are. But then what can happen is that we start to buy more and more of those objects because we feel like we have to sustain that image. We have to appear still interested in music, even though maybe our interests have changed. We feel like we still need to keep buying new stuff because we cannot appear in the same dress in a party in the same month. So slowly, our goal moves away from buying the things we truly enjoy and need to buying the things just to keep managing that image we've created. And the more items we have, the more maintenance we have to do, the more cleaning we have to do, and certainly that makes us slaves of all those objects. And As a result, minimalism was born. Obviously, there's lots of other reasons why it appeared, but certainly people realized that at some point you need to become the master of your objects. You need to surround yourself with things that truly matter, as opposed to things you use to impress others. So this book actually offers 55 tips on how to start decluttering your house, and some of them are quite generic, so it doesn't specifically tell you, okay, let's start with books or kitchen utensils. It is very generic, so everyone can apply it to their own lives. However, it does start by saying, well, first of all, you need to acknowledge that by having less, you're not becoming a lesser person. By giving up the items that might be linked to memories doesn't mean you're losing those memories. By throwing away something, you gain something back, whether it's freedom, it's your time, it's energy, or other benefits you might have. Even like a healthier lifestyle is linked to minimalism, as minimalists are usually slim, as they know what they truly need to eat, as opposed to they eat everything they want. So there's lots of useful tips here. So for anyone who is in fact interested in reducing their belongings, please, give it a try, this book. It's only £10, and probably you can also get an audio version, but there's some really useful tips that anyone can apply. And in the end of this book, the author shares some of the benefits that he experienced when he applied the minimalistic lifestyle. And some of those were quite predictable, but some of those truly surprised me. So obviously, when you declutter your house, you get more space as there's less objects lying around. You get more time because there is a less necessity to maintain all those items or even clean your house. And there's also freedom from feeling like you have to consider all those items if you want to move houses or move to a different city or a different country. You are becoming more free and more open to new experiences. But some other things that the author remarked is that his social engagement improved, because instead of trying to entertain hundreds and hundreds of friends he previously had, he now focused on a smaller circle of people that were really important in his life, and that improved the level of his engagement and just the quality of his relationships. He also noticed that he cared less about how other people perceived him, because he no longer needed to impress them with his items and clothes and his house. Most importantly, he was able to learn how to live in the present. And I think this was probably one of the most valuable lessons I learned from this book. The fact that indeed we often live either in our past or in our future. So sometimes we cannot let go of who we used to be. We still remember how in the past we were able to maybe run a lot much faster than we do right now, or we had cooler hobbies, or we had more time to ourselves before we started a family and had kids. So we keep remembering us in the past and thinking we were the cool people in the past. Or on the contrary, we can be working right now in a job we hate, but still feeling like, I can do it for another year because I will get so much more. And in 1 year's, maybe 2 years' time, I can finally afford that big house, that big car that I really want. And that's when I'll be happy. So right now I hate this every single day I have to spend in the office, but in 2 years' time, I will be the happiest person ever. Well, the thing is that we can never truly experience happiness in the past or in the future apart from the present. When we're remembering things, we often have slightly, I would say, adjusted memories. We remember the things we want to remember. We remember them in the light we want to remember, whether it's worse or better than it was. And also with the future, we cannot ever fully anticipate how exactly we will feel 2 years from now when we finally have that big house. Will we be really happy, or will we be so stressed and so tired after doing that job for 2 years and hating every single day of our life that suddenly we'll just switch to a happy mode? And most probably this will not happen. 2 years from now, if you don't change your lifestyle, you will be as miserable as you are today. But the idea of that we'll be happier is what often drives us to do the things we don't want right now. And the author explains how he was able to let go of those past and future senses and really focus on what was truly important, what he felt from the inside, and how he wanted to lead his life today. So Even if you are not interested in decluttering your house, I would definitely recommend this book to everyone. It's super easy to read. It's quite small. It's only £10. And also I would say, even though it is sort of linked to the Japanese culture as the author is from Japan, however, it's relevant to everyone, whether you're in Japan or UK or America or anywhere else. So yeah, definitely would recommend this book. And I would also say that if you read ever books that surprise you, if they offered you so much more than what the title or the front page explain, please share with me in the comments and I'll be interested to also give it a try. So as always, thank you very much for your attention. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please like it. And if you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, please remember to do so, as soon in September I'll be starting my next level 3 certificate in counseling skills. So I'll be again following my journey in studies. And until then, please remember to take good care of yourself and find some time for mindful reading. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.